Ambazonia, national loyalty. Praise the soul of Savior who granted us the freedom. I live the soul the hero who goes along with God.
Glory will rise and never to fall. Hearing a nation flowing with milk and honey. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Amazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Amazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation.
The meeting is now called to order at 1:25 p.m.
Thank you.
Abakwa, roll call.
Present.
Edmund.
Present.
Chankfor.
Present.
Auntie.
Present.
We're going to start now.
But what really happened to silence our people to submit to Ahijo, banning political party, dismissing our own government, and dismantling our democratic system? And what were the benefits of association with French Cameroon so strong that our people became so docile and complacent and not to complain? So
I think if I can just chip something in there. When it comes to the difficulties of our, it is good to look at the difficulties with our association with French Cameroon, and before even the 1st October, let me say after 1st October, realizing that we were invaded, we should realize that we had problems of visas. Even crossing to French Cameroon was a problem. You had to get laissez-passer.
Laissez-passer.
Yeah, you had to get laissez-passer to pass. So that's one of the obstacles our people had. I can remember my grandfather told me that he and Mukete, they drove to meet Support Priso when they were still negotiating this thing of association. I usually invited them, so they were to drive through Boya, through Douala. Reaching Douala, they showed their passport. The gendarmes that were there said, "Ça c'est quoi?" That this is what. They took it from them, put them one side, and they beat their driver very well. He was wounded, seized his passport.
Oh my God!
Well, it was one gendarme that saved them. In that when he heard the name of Support Priso, he was close to Support Priso. So he sent my information to Support Priso. Support Priso drove immediately to Mongo Bridge, and then sent a message to Ahijo. So it was Ahijo who asked them to release the guys. So when they were released, my grandfather said that he told me that no. Okay, I had a question. He said no. From there, he just told Mukete that he's going back. He said he is going. He's not more going. He will not more go to Yaoundé. So he refused going until now. They now drove through Loum. They did not even come back to Douala because they were afraid of another torture. So they drove now through Loum, and that was when he saw the first Maquisard head that was cut and planted on the street. So when they crossed and came to Kumba, he told Mukete that, look, we cannot join these people. So Mukete told him that, no, you see, we have been cultured in a parliamentary system where we can actually assimilate these guys. We can make them turn British like us. They can look British like us. My father said, no, what I have seen, we cannot join them. He said, no, leave.
Exactly.
We are going to fix this with Support Priso and so on. But Mukete was saying this because he had already made his business arrangements. We should remember that he just left Nigeria as a minister he was minister in Nigeria. So when he left, came wanting to gain political powers, and business was there. He decided to meet support Priso, and he was granted a lot of business, and that's why today most of his businesses are in Douala. If you ask, you go and look there, you see Mokete estates and so on. They are there in Douala. So so we had problem of visas. Another obstacle was that these guys could not speak French. My grandfather, when they told me that they were speaking English, this guy was speaking French. Qu'est-ce que vous parlez? So they could not even, they didn't even know what they were saying. So it was some kind of obstacle.
I took a laissez-passer from Santa to cross over to come down to Boya.
Exactly.
Through
So those were the obstacles.
Yes.
And then another thing was the legal system. They looked at their legal system. They saw that, but in Nigeria, where they were in the British system, they had the common law system. But in the French side, they saw that people who they were even working with, when they were accused, these guys were condemned, immediately went to the gendarmes, they were there arrested. And they saw the example. Yes. As if they crossed the border, they did not even ask them. They just asked, where's your passport? They showed the bridge, their passport. This guy just said, ça c'est quoi? They started beating them. You see? So they did not even ask themselves, like, okay, if these guys went wrong, can we actually judge them, see them, or inquire from our government to see what we can do with them? No. They just went immediately accused, you are guilty. So those were some of the difficulties our people.
Exactly.
And when we came again, they saw the population, because they thought that we will coming to associate with Cameroon, our population will be relatively better. But they saw that no, it was not the case, because when they joined, the people started moving towards Tico, Mutengen, Victoria, trying to now assimilate everything, absorb us. Our people, what happened was that our leaders now adopted another strategy. They came all with these social insurance things. They asked you that, okay, if you have 5 children, they will pay you money, they will give you this. So it encouraged our people to deliver a lot. So our population started growing. And when the Francophone as well realized that, they started putting in place means to reduce that. And we even saw it even in the 80s, where we went to the extent of sterilizing girls, sterilizing our girls. You even look at the land certificates. They go to the extent of even refusing you to buy land. The land my father bought in Victoria, he bought it through a Francophone. He went to the SGO. They told him that there was no land. Now he went and met his Francophone friend, who went now to the same land and told him that he had seen a land he want to buy. They told him, okay, the land is available. So he bought the land, and then my father gave him money. He paid everything. Then when he got the land, then he transferred now the certificate to my father. So you see the whole process. It became boring. So our people from the beginning saw obstacles. And that is one of the reasons that made some of them, they became wise. During Fumban, they were careful not to sign anything that will keep us inside Cameroon. And this generation know most of the things, the dismantling of our systems. So some of you know now.
Yeah, I was just listening to you. I was saying that, you see, while we were in Nigeria, when we were about to leave, the Nigerians sent the Igbos to occupy our land, and our fathers. Our fathers really saw that, and they were wise enough.
Exactly. Exactly.
La République, what you have just mentioned, La République used the same colonial mentality. Even now, no one on this panel will argue that. After they partitioned the various states and made us Northwest and Southwest, tell me any local has ever governed both provinces, any English person. But now you equally, if you look at it very well, you go to the Southwest and come to Bamenda, most of the people who own the land are the Francophones now. Even going right to peddling on the streets in Bamenda. They are the one who patronize the business. So in which case, I would
That was the idea.
I would really
Yes,
say that,
and that's
that was the
why I keep
idea.
telling people that there was nothing like anything like federation. It was a clear annexation
Yes.
of that territory. There was not all
Yes.
what we see in 1970, all those change of name is some kind of political game, you know, or some kind of transitional period to
Yes.
take us back to La République du Cameroon.
Yes.
And we finally saw the end game was to
Yes.
so we were completely annexed.
yeah,
We
I
had
would
no
make a
opportunity.
point that if you see those who are advocating now for federation, going back to what you said about Mukete, it's because of selfish interest.
Of course, of
Because
course.
these are
Right.
the very
Yes.
people that La République has
Yes.
come in, planted them everywhere.
Because in a federation, the Francophones, they will still rule, they will still gain.
They
Because
will
just
rule.
prior to the
Not that
crisis,
they will be the ones to rule, and that is why you see,
Yes,
I go my brother Bala. I told him, okay, brother, you said that we from 1961 to 72 we had a federation. What was the national? Can you give me the first phrase of the federal national anthem? He could not answer. What was the phrase of the first national anthem? Who was the first governor that was voted in French Cameroon and Southern Cameroons? Because in a federal state, you have the president and then you have the governors. Who was the first mayor we voted?
yes.
Who were there? You don't have anything like that.
And by the way,
So what federation was it about? There was nothing like that. It was
And
just
by
kind of political game. You see, so
And by-
we cannot
Yes.
keep on fooling ourselves and fooling our younger generation. They
Yes.
should know the true history of that territory.
so even if there was a federation, what killed it?
Exactly, that's the question. What killed it?
Exactly.
What killed it, and why can a new one not be killed again the same way?
Exactly.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the
Those are the-
question I would like to
issues.
really
By the way, you were talking about land in Kumba. Do you know that if anyone who knows Fiango, behind Fiango Market, do you know that the landlord selling land there is a man, a Francophone by the name Gassa?
Yeah,
Yes, Bamileke man. Yes.
the Bamileke man, that's
Yes.
true. You are right.
Yes.
You are right.
Yes. So anyway, whatever it is, one of the good things about this generation is that they are also pushing and fighting. History like this gives them more impetus and gives them the weapon to continue to fight until we get this freedom that we need. Because there has never been any federation between us and those people.
Not
You
yet.
see, there were all kinds of incentives. They
Never.
were trying, yes, they were trying to bring all kinds of incentives. There was a disparity in salaries. Where how can we be a federation? East Cameroonians were earning more. Then, as an incentive to bring us over, they were still fooling us and bringing a few of us over there and order and telling us all crap, the family allowance and all that nonsense, dismantling all these institutions. I think you have answered the question. The question is that you have answered my questions. The reason why we could not even do it was because we had no choice. We invaded politically, socially, economically,
Yeah.
name it.
Up
That
to
is- that
today,
was a terrible-
up to date.
Yes, that was a terrible
And,
blow.
and, and,
I
and
think you have
to
answered
answer that, then there was a question about the British. You see, the British, actually, the British were angry with Southern Cameroon because
Yes.
they wanted to attach us to their colony. They
Like,
saw what
yes.
the French were doing, what the French were benefiting, the agreements, the economic agreements they had with their colonies, which actually handed the sovereignty of those territories to the French up to today. So the British were also, they had ruled that territory for more than 40 years. So they were eager also to get some benefits. They had invested the CDC and so on. They saw the money coming out from there.
Exactly.
So what happened was that the British succeeded in convincing Northern Cameroons to join Nigeria. They succeeded in doing that.
I see.
Yes.
So now, coming now down to the Southern Cameroons,
Where the
I
resources are.
see.
where the resources were, they could not do it because our people were very wise. Our people were so democratically orientated in a sense that the British found it very difficult. So when now they try to convince Foncha and Ndele to fight, not to gain sovereignty, not to gain independence, to become sovereign state, they could not, because we had other opposition parties who were there who wanted total independence.
Kale, PM Kale.
Yeah, the PM Kale, we had people like PM Kale who was there. You had S.A. George, you had Joa, who was still a young man within among them. So when they saw that, the British saw that, they became angry. So they said, okay, if you are going to hell, you go to hell. So they abandoned us from this.
Your hands
That
up.
is it. That is it.
Yeah, so they decided to abandon us. And we should not forget that they had conducted a pre-plebiscite in the northern Cameroons. So when they conducted a pre-plebiscite in northern Cameroon that was in 1958, the northern Cameroons voted to be self-independent, that they wanted total independence. That was when the British quickly cancelled. It was some kind of it was not plebiscite. It was some kind of how do you call it again?
Opinion. Maybe opinion. Sorry.
Some kind of inquiries. Some kind of inquiry. They wanted to inquire if the people wanted actually total independence, because they wanted them to join Nigeria. So they said, no, we will want our independence. So when the British saw that, they quickly cancelled the research or studies they were doing.
Public opinion.
Public opinion. They quickly cancelled the results, and then now push now to force that they join Nigeria. So when they came to Southern Cameroon, they did not conduct that public opinion. So they immediately worked together. They instead worked so that we should join Nigeria. So when on the plebiscite, they were disappointed. Our people say, okay, we will want to associate. We don't want to join Nigeria. We don't want to join French Cameroon. And since we are not, the third option is not coming of total independence, we want to associate with French Cameroon. And our people voted to associate with French Cameroon. Unfortunately, that never took place. And that's why the British became angry and abandoned us.
They have spent 20 million in the CDC.
Exactly.
20 million pounds, and the French were willing to give them, so they sold us.
They did that. They did, of course, because we refused to obey them.
So I would really like us, with all this information, now we have leaders who are on the ground that they are the Ambazonian leaders, and some of these leaders don't really know this background information.
They don't know.
What message can this panel? Because I believe that we are speaking to the Ambazonians. We are actually enabling Ambazonians to go and see where we came from. As Bob Marley said, if you don't know where you are coming from, you don't know where you are going to. And this generation, I just find they are in the middle. Some of them started, they came into the scene in the 70s under La République. When you try to mention this history to them, it's so foreign, and they don't even want to be patient to learn. What message can you pass on to them as a word of advice as they look forward to guide this generation?
I think that we have analyzed these issues very thoroughly. Since our people on the ground are listening to Siseko, I think that's what it is. That's what I seem to be getting. There is this thing about Sako. I think I've once asked this question before. Where is Sako and this revolution? And I keep reading from ground zero here that it seems our people are listening but to Siseko and they believe. So I think that where we think that people are adhering and listening to the leadership, that leadership is best positioned to receive this information and pass it. Our job would be to make them have this analysis, which we are making here, to them so that they can in turn actually begin to send them to the population on the ground zero, and it will work. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, that's good. My suggestion, I think I would just want to add to what Chamfo said. I believe that our leaders, themselves will need to actually get the history, which is right, because
Exactly.
you will not know to make your case. Because from the beginning,
Yes.
our people placed the wrong case. And I've been telling them that the case you place is a wrong case. And that's why you will never win Britain. Anywhere you go, Britain will win you. And some of them
Yes.
experienced it because they did not put the right case on. So I believe that our people will have to develop that habit of learning, not just getting, even from what we have said, it is good for them to go and research again. Okay, we heard this panel talking. Actually, what did they say? What they said, was it right? Is it wrong? They have to develop that spirit
Yes.
of researching.
Yes.
But when you research, you know more about your history, you know more about yourself. And I will not only talk to the Ambazonian leaders, I will also talk to our brothers who think that they call themselves federalists.
Exactly.
because Cameroon is laughing, Paul Biya regime is laughing, because they know that there's just two groups. There are just two groups. There's nothing like federation. They know that there are just two groups. Those who want to remain with French Cameroon and those who want French Cameroon to end its annexation and leave the territory. Those are the two groups. You are either in one of them, or you are nowhere to be found.
That's
So
true.
those who talk about federation is just people that are not different from those unionists or the people from the Republic of Cameroon. But I want just to make them understand that if you are talking about federation, stop telling us to go back to 1961, because in 1961 there was no federation. So they have to come out with their plan of action, present it to us, convince us, show us how they want to implement this federation. And when showing us, they should show us how they are going to convince French Cameroon to accept federation, because French countries don't federate. So they will have to convince
Absolutely,
us.
because the argument has always been, what were the terms of the federation? They were known.
So they went, because it never existed. And that is why you see Cameroon had to go. Even the so-called federal constitution was not a constitution. It was French Cameroon's revised constitution. And that is why it was signed by Ayijo alone. So Ayijo had the power. French Cameroon had the power to change that constitution at any time. It is their constitution. So those of us who see and they are crying, oh, French Cameroon changed their constitution. Why would they not? Is it not their constitution?
No.
It was their constitution. It was a revised. Who revised it? Their parliamentarians revised it. Who decides to change it in 1972? Their parliamentarians, their president. And so what? So if they did that, then why are you crying? So something does not belong to you. You don't have the power to decide on it.
Okay,
so that's why Paul Biya government is doing what they know was put in place before even our association with them. And that is to assimilate us, to take us as slaves. And their president said it in the Paris peace conference. So our brothers of the federation, I don't know where they will end with that. They will really need to convince us.
I mean said something about Francophones now clamoring for federation. I think the SCNC and people were talking about federation for more than 40 years. What did those people say?
Exactly.
I hear Mr. Kamto is now championing that. Well, Kamto is quoted in 2000 as saying Federation pour. And that Kamto, who is championing it today, said Ahijo used federation as a stepping stone.
Exactly.
So they
to attract our people.
So what are they clamoring for now?
That is it.
Well, and then on that, the only thing I can say about our current leaders is that they should stop this pointing fingers and throwing dirt at each other. Our forefathers, they were disagreements. When we are here, there is nothing about those fights. All what they projected in public was a sign of unity. I want that even these other factions here, they should know that we are all Ambazonia and fighting to get to Boya. when I see any so-called leader
Exactly.
trying to throw dirt and insult another one that he's not this, I just see that's sign of immaturity, and that you are not a leader.
Exactly.
Because you cannot get up in public and be insulting another person that he's not a leader. You can disagree with that person in the dark, and then come in public and praise each other, because that's what the international community want to see, whether we are really matured as our forefathers were doing then. They had to fight for themselves. That's why they walked out of Nigeria and even stood against the British. But our people now, because of what they have learned from La République, they want to throw dirt at each other and just tarnish our struggle. They are for themselves, not for this.
Common good.
So I would also, we have talked so much because uncle and auntie, they have been so patient, and I think that it is time to actually give them the floor to ask questions from someone listening from outside and watching. I think we have given you so much to digest on. What do you have any questions that can really excite the discussion?
Auntie?
Actually, I want to know who the original tribes were before the Germans got there. Who were the original people, the indigenous people of southern Cameroons?
When you said the German, before the Germans came, the Germans did not come. It was the British that came, not the Germans.
Well,
And
the Germans originally didn't the British get it from?
The Germans didn't come there first. The Germans came there in 1884, while the British were there in before 1854. And before even then, we had the Baptist missionary, Joseph Merrick, who was there already in 1851. So the Germans did not come there. So now, who were the original the original inhabitants? By then, that zone, if you look at the map of Africa, the people living in the Gulf of Guinea were known as the people, the Isibu people. Isibu. If you can Google it and then you will read more about it, the Isibu people. The Isibu people were those living along the Gulf of Guinea. So it's a very broad tribe, even going down to Nigeria. The Isibu people were living around that Gulf of Guinea, so even down to Nigeria. And that is why when you look Ambazonia, you will find that from the people from Santa coming down to the borders, they actually migrated from Nigeria. Those are history we'll need to go and look when you have time.
It's very true.
Yeah, so
the proof, the name, the name Ade.
Yeah.
The name Ade is a Yoruba name.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Ade.
Are you not talking about the Bantus and all those, their origin, right?
Yeah, but that is it. That is it. Even the Bantu, you know that the Bantus were divided. Even among that, if you want to go and look. Anyway, it's a history that we really need to sit and maybe find it.
Their migration specialists like Dr. Awasum them and the professor who is teaching, I think is in Swaziland right now, what we used to call Swaziland. They have studied all that. So
he's in Ghana now.
Yes. And when you look at the Francophones, you see most of them migrated, like the Doualas, they migrated from Congo, coming down.
Yes.
So actually, there's a clear demarcation among our people and those from French Cameroon. It's clear demarcation. We are actually the Isibu people, and the Isibu people had their center, their capital was Bimbia. I think last time I spoke about the slave trade, the history about, so is at the Bimbia. And we are the people who receive the gospel from Joseph, and then spread it in the Gulf of Guinea. And that's why you see we call us God's chosen people. And our struggle is known as God-ordained struggle.
Can you also, in relation to Auntie's question, share a bit about any knowledge you have, or anyone on the panel, about Bamla K or My People Fulani?
Oh yeah, actually the Bamile case and I think I can the Bamile case and the Fulani. I don't actually see any big difference between but the Fulanis actually are people who don't have a place to go. We call them the Awuzas.
Yes.
They don't actually have a territory.
They are nomads.
They're nomads.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they're
so
nomads.
you have Fulanis even in Ambazonia. You
Mhm.
have them in nearly every part in Africa because they just go and settle.
Yes.
And so when
Yes.
where they settle, they consider themselves as indigenous of that place.
Yes.
Yeah. So their history is a bit complicated as compared to
They
the
cut across
Bamile.
Northwest Africa. Uh-huh.
Yeah, as compared to the Bamile case, who actually at grass, we call them grassland. Is it grassland or grassland?
Grassland.
From grassland.
Exactly.
Exactly. So they are not different from the people of the Northwest, and because they actually migrated from almost the same place, from Nigeria.
To me, right now, where we are, where we are, we talk about the present because our people are really dying, and some of them, some of them, our leaders who are sitting that they are leaders, they don't know this history. They don't know why this particular generation has risen up to pay it with their lives and their blood. And I bet you, had this generation not stood up now, I mean, they will completely dissolve the 2 cubes of sugar. So it is very, very important that we history of ours that has been hidden for so long, and that has been the
Yes. And wiped under the carpet.
of La Republique to totally cut us off from our past, and fill the gap that they are our that we don't have an identity. We are one and indivisible, because this language itself
Right.
itself is a language that is a very, very deceptive and a divisive language, that once we start to stand up, the Francophones stand up and said, we are united and indivisible. So if you see the graduation from the federal system to the so-called United Republic of Cameroon, that is sort of planting that image that we are one, and back to where we are now. They call us La République du Cameroun. So we should be able to awaken that spirit of who we really are.
What is clear? What is clear is that we have been educated. As I said before, when this struggle started, it's right to the little child. We now know that we are not one. That one is clear. It's well known. People are just afraid of dying, although they are dying. Our kids that have taken the front row and fighting, they're the ones dying. But the rest of us are still a little bit. We have all that fear in us. But let it be known that on ground zero, it is clear that we are not one, and that we want to be different. We want to govern ourselves. That is clear. How we come about it is the modus operandi that we're trying to find out now.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So the message should be, our leaders should be bombarding the airwaves, the population, the international community with this history more than ever before. How we package it and sell it becomes very, very important. And I think we have very brilliant people in this forum. That's what we're going to do. Package that history, well analyzed by well analyzed by my 2 brothers there. Wonderful history. We package it well and let it find a way for it to be disseminated. That's the key. Let nobody deceive you. On ground zero, people are just afraid, and you can of the gun. Not that they're afraid of the Francophone anymore. No, they're afraid of these brutal people that come up with guns to shoot people. But everybody doesn't want this thing to end like this without us achieving our own freedom, our own independence. That is clear. It's very clear on the ground. So if they don't talk, it doesn't mean that they are complacent. Exactly. They want to be free. It's very, very clear.
I think one of our greatest accomplishment is really to put some sense in these so-called leaders in the diaspora. that unity, it's only through unity that we can really
Exactly.
frightened the Francophones and Bia. We are Bias. What we are doing a good favor to Bia by portraying that we don't know where we are going. We don't have a sense of purpose. Instead of turning the guns against our enemies, Bia has actually walked through our own so-called leaders to be turning the guns against each other. And our people on the ground, who are the ones sustaining this struggle, they are paying with their limbs, their blood, and you see people out of the country in the confines of air-conditioned rooms, just behaving as if they are flying above and not knowing exactly what's going on the ground. Because if they really could walk the shoes or stay in Bamenda, in Boya, in Kumba, and hear the gun flying over them, I think this rubbish that they are doing out here would really change.
Exactly.
What is very clear is that on the ground, we don't want to see this stupid division. We see Sako, the Otelos is doing this. We see Seseko on this. What we want on the ground is unity. We should, and if any faction, whether it's whoever it is, if you are not talking the same language and fighting for the same cause, don't talk.
Exactly.
Because you're deceiving us and wasting our time.
Yeah, you see, some of us we meet diplomats who always question us about this disunity. You see, and these leaders, just as we are saying, they should be able to back each other when it comes to that.
Right.
You know, we might differ. After all, there's unity in diversity. So when some of these diplomats tell us that, oh, you see, you are divided, I say no. I say we are not divided. The divisions or the groups you see is on purpose. We do that on purpose. That's what I told them. I said, no, we do that on purpose. And they will ask why. I said, no, it's to keep the enemy from gathering everyone in one bundle and then throw, just as they did with Seseko.
Okay.
So for that, we are not divided. So we are doing on that purpose, because we are united in one purpose, and that is Cameroon to leave our territory. And that's what all the leaders stands for. So, but in our groups, we might differ in the method on how to achieve that. So, but it does not mean that we are divided. No, it is but normal, because we have seen that in areas where people come together, it was easier for Cameroon government to bribe them. Like in 1966, you know, they succeeded, and Foncha came together, brought everybody under the KNDP. Ayijo succeeded, brought everybody under the UC.
CNU.
And they formed the
CNU, yes, CNU.
Yeah. You see, they formed the CNU, and the CNU now was not a political party. It became now a colonial instrument to bring the people under what we call neo-colonialism. And that's the same game the CPDM is playing now. We should know that the CPDM is not a political party. And that is why the CPDM is not registered in Cameroon. If you Google, you will see all registered political parties. The CPDM is not there. It is not registered in Cameroon. Why? Because it is a colonial instrument. It is put there, nearly replaced the CNU.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it is run, it is a movement for the colonial master, which is France.
But I think that, I mean, that is the point, that you said that these leaders, we should have many leaders, but what we expect of them is to respect each other.
Exactly.
I mean,
correct. Even back them. You see, the most important is to back them in public, and then behind they can argue. But when they come in public, they back each other. You understand?
Like one.
As one, and then behind now, they get their.
They can differ.
Yes, what you have said, that you presented a unified picture to the diplomats, and the reason why we are divided. That is very smart. Even in America, when America is going out, they are not going out Republican or condemning. I don't see any reason why. And one thing which really kills me is that anyone who has the microphone, the opportunity to handle the microphone, I mean, you have more power than someone who has a gun. Because when once you hold the microphone, you are speaking to the world. You should be able not to use invective and divisive language as if you want to weaken other group because the group
Yes.
that you speak for is more important. You are destroying this.
Oh.
You stand a better chance to use a unifying language. When you come behind
Yes.
and quarrel amongst ourselves. So, but the most
So
important,
that is so that's a recommendation. That is a recommendation.
yeah, the prematurity is you go out in public and behave like you are a jungle, a bully, and thinking that you will bully the other person in front of the international community,
Never.
not knowing that you are destroying the struggle. I mean, it's like you are biting your finger. So I think we have 10 minutes to go. Auntie and Uncle, please, we need to hear from you because your questions for someone who is not an Ambazonian would benefit a lot from your questions, and this panel will be able to use that to tell the world better about us and also educate ourselves as to what we really need to attain our independence.
But if they don't present a united front, that's a power grab. Those people are just trying to be a power grab. The other thing, through all of this conversation today, this is all about unity through education. All of you have educated me today, and I thank you very much.
Uncle, do you have any closing remark? Admin, I think Uncle stepped away. Do you have any closing remarks for this session?
My closing remark goes to Ambazonia people. I'm just pleading on them to hold firm on this struggle. You know, it is not easy to conquer evil, because evil is something that you will have to battle it through. If you don't, but with your faith, your courage, and you standing on the truth, know that you are on the right side of history. The Ambazonia people are on the right side of history. God is with them, and they are going to make it. Nothing will stop us. We cannot go back and live the adulterous life we have been living with French Cameroon. These people have no pity on us. And to do that, their actions on our people describes their heart, it describes their perception about us, and it describes their mindset. Any Ambazonian who does not see that is a blind Ambazonian. But we pray that God gives every Ambazonia the wisdom, the knowledge, and the opportunity to see the truth and reality and to stand on the right side of history. Thank you.
Uncle, before you left, I was just asking for closing remarks, but before we get to that, please, we know that this past 2 weeks, and particularly this past week, Bamenda has been under terror, and so many innocent lives have been destroyed, and so with all the lives that are lost every day in Ambazonia, could we just take a 30-second silence in their to respect them, please?
Yes, let's all do. And let's just take 30 seconds right now. Thank you.
All right, we will never forget their sacrifices.
Yes, yes. So, wow, a very good discussion today. I guess I just want to simply close by reminding everyone that I am known as Uncle from Bamenda, Fulani.
Okay, Uncle Fulani.
So there was a reason for my action as I become more familiar with my heritage and that story and that part of my extended life. So with that, are there any closing remarks, any closing announcements, final thoughts? If not, we are adjourned, and we'll be sending out notice that we'll be meeting again in 2 weeks.
Hail this land of glory, we the Ambazonia, special loyalty. Praise the soul of Savior who granted us the freedom. I love the soul of hero who goes along with God.
Glory will rise and never to fall. Leading a nation flowing with milk and honey. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our needs. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman